Information-fueled.
Opinion-driven.
This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
7:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, the 997 WTN. Good morning to your friends. There is so much going on. Joan Jones, I heard that audio of one of the Justins in your newscast, and I don't exactly even know what the story was about. But what I did hear, and I hope you have the audio queued up, was that Justin Jones?
It was in my newscast, but I have to tell you, it wasn't one of the Justins.
Who was it?
Johnny Ray Clemens. Is that his name?
John Ray. John Ray
Clemens.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me hear it then, and because I thought it was interesting, and I guess all these Democrats are starting to sound alike to me, but whatever. So he was making the distinction. The Republicans were making the distinction. We're not talking about immigrants. We're talking about illegal aliens, and everybody groaned. Play that if you would.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
This is about denying innocent children of their right, of their God-given right, as guaranteed by this state constitution, to get an education as upheld by this U.S. Supreme Court.
Lots of energy behind my colleague from Davidson County. We're not talking about immigrants. We're talking about illegals. There is a distinct difference.
And that's Monty Fritz there at the end.
Why are people groaning?
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't understand.
So if you watch Channel 4 at all, everybody's focused on how much protesting is going on around this particular bill. They're not talking about the bill. They're not talking about the people involved. They're not talking about the law. They're talking about the protests, which of course encourages people to go and protest. Mm-hmm. So that's what you're getting there. You're getting all these people who are there just to protest.
Well, and the other thing they're trying to do, Joan, is they're trying to make it seem, this is what people do. This is what the local news does, because they're very liberal.
Yeah.
Is they're trying to make it seem like there is this massive groundswell of support against the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans as well, the Republicans in the state legislature. They're trying to make it seem like there's this massive groundswell of support, when in reality, there's a very loud and vocal minority group of activists that are, if they're not screaming about guns, they're screaming about, trying to keep as many illegal aliens in this state as possible. They're very obviously leftists. But I'm just is that some sort of a thing that if you're a conservative now and these people on the left, they are against making the distinction between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant? Because I got to tell you, I have a lot of friends who are legal immigrants that would really get a little ticked off if all of a sudden now the left is not going to make any distinction between legal immigrants and illegal immigrants in this state.
Yep. I mean, that's exactly the case. They don't want to hear that it's illegal immigrants, people in the country illegally. Yeah. Their parents are here illegally. And whether or not, so much has been made about the people that have come across the border. Who knows if these kids are actually these parents of these kids?
Oh, a lot of these kids has been trafficked. Yeah. A lot of these kids have been trafficked. And, they were, this has been last 8 years now. We've been dealing with this. But you have, kids who have been trafficked and they are coming in with a family. Mm-hmm. Then they're sent back to Mexico, and then they come in with another family, and then they go back and they come in with another family, because if you were coming in with a kid, then it was like a get out of jail free card. They just let you go right on through.
Exactly.
So anyway, whatever. All right. Well, thank you, Joan.
Yeah,
I appreciate
you bet.
it. Couple of things real quick. 7:10 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There was, and we weren't able to fully talk about this poll that shows that, and they're calling this a shock poll. I'm not shocked, are you? When I tell you that 55% of Democrats believe assassinating Donald Trump would be justified. I'm going to repeat that because I know it is shocking. 55% of Democrats believe assassinating Donald Trump would be justified. They're calling this the assassination culture. The network, this is from Blaze. The Network Contagion Research Institute released a disturbing report yesterday that found assassination culture is on the rise among those who self-identify as politically left of center. Now, I'm going to ask a question. Even on the worst days of Joe Biden, Alejandro Mayorkas, people within the Biden administration, I cannot name one conservative, one Republican that said that it would be okay to enact any kind of violence on Joe Biden or Alejandro Mayorkas or Kamala Harris, what have you. No, this is something from the left. Now, people in local media would tell you, oh, white supremacy is a big danger in the state of Tennessee. Well, what about this? There going to be any big investigations over on Channel 5 about the 55% of Democrats, apparently, that believe assassinating Donald Trump is justified? Any investigations whatsoever into that? No? Okay. The report, Assassination Culture, How Burning Teslas and Killing Billionaires Became a Meme Aesthetic for Political Violence, highlighted survey results that found many leftists could at least somewhat justify acts of violence against Elon Musk and President Donald Trump. A broader assassination culture appears to be emerging within segments of the U.S. public on the extreme left. It read, calling the trend troubling. I mean, that is amazing. They say these attitudes are not fringe. They reflect an emergent assassination culture grounded in far left authoritarianism and increasingly normalized in digital discourse. The report read, this report points to disturbingly high levels of support for political violence, particularly targeting President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Across survey responses, nearly 1/3 of respondents and a significantly higher share of left-leaning respondents expressed some degree of justification for acts of lethal violence. Now, how many of us heard and read the reports and talked about all those people on the left who were upset that Donald Trump didn't get shot in the head, per se? They nicked his ear. I would still say that he got shot in the head, but whatever. And you got all these people on social media that said, oh, I wish he was a better shot. Remember all of that? It was horrifying. I've got a lot more on this, including what I think and what they say is the root cause, the genesis of all of this. And that is coming up on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. Very much as far as your weather for today, a high of 55 and sunny. Right now, 39 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So assassination culture is taking root in America, primarily on the left, according to a new poll. It's not really all that surprising, but I did find an example where you have folks on the left on social media, need some audio, on social media, and they're talking about taking out Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Listen.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
Obviously, that is Nancy Pelosi, and that is one of many examples of the Democrats as they have over and over and over again talked about, insinuated, or flat out said that they want to take out Donald Trump. It is that kind of political rhetoric. It is that kind of wishful violence that has inspired people on TikTok and Instagram and other social media outlets to make posts like this.
If Donald Trump bans TikTok on April 5th, 5 days before I'm supposed to launch my jewelry brand in New York City, Luigi Mangione will look like a cakewalk next to me.
There you go. The report, which tracks the assassination culture, that trend starting with the December shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, attributed to the shift in part on social media. So basically, Thompson gets shot by Luigi Mangione. And we all have been talking about this. We certainly talked about it at the time. And you had an entire wave of people, younger folks, that actually started talking about how it was okay to shoot and kill Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, because Luigi Mangione felt like he was justified because of his problems with health insurance. Joel Finkelstein is the lead author of that report, telling Fox News Digital what was formerly taboo culturally has become acceptable. We're seeing a clear shift, he says, glorification, increased attempts, and changing norms, all converging into what we define as assassination culture, he stated. Finkelstein noted that his organization is not an anti-free speech organization, and he does not believe censorship will end assassination culture. Do you know what he said? This guy said that if leaders on the left explicitly condemn these trends and reassert moral norms, they can dismantle this newfound phenomenon, this assassination culture, quickly. I don't think that's going to happen.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
I mean, gee, I don't know. I don't know where this assassination culture actually started. Do you?
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know where it came from.
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I love that. Don Lemon, the last one where the biggest threat in America today is young white men radicalized to the right. Not so, Don. At least according to this poll, shock new poll, 55% of Democrats believe that assassinating Donald Trump and Elon Musk would be at least somewhat justified. Now, Politico had a story about a number of different things, but part of the story was this: how Donald Trump loses Gen Z. Attorney General Pam Bondi announcing that she wants the prosecution to seek the death penalty for Luigi Mangione if he's convicted. Y'all know he's been charged with the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. So according to Politico, the way to lose the younger generation is to go after Luigi Mangione with the death penalty. Pam Bondi was asked about this.
The death penalty this week, you announced that you want the prosecution to seek that with Luigi Mangione, accused of gunning down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Midtown Manhattan. Politico reacted to that with this line: how Trump loses Gen Z. I was in an airport a couple of weeks ago with a young woman that had on a sweatshirt with his face on it, and he was portrayed as a religious icon. There was a halo, kind of like a saint. What's your take on how the younger generation sees him as a bit of a folk hero, and Politico's assessment that it may cost you politically?
I love what Pam Bondi had to say. I've got that audio straight ahead. It is 7:20 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 615-737-9986. The Super Text line is open, very active today. Thank you. 615-737-WWTN. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom watching those futures. Joan, what's up?
Yeah, we will take a look at the futures. Also, a Tennessee lineman dies at the height of last week's storms. And we'll tell you how scammers are using AI to take down American companies. Those stories coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.